I received the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1995 for work that was connected with the atmospheric layer that protects us from ultraviolet radiation here at the Earth's surface, namely the ozone layer. And the way I got interested in this problem was with my colleague Sherry Rowland in the 1970s. We asked a question. We were aware that certain chemicals that were being produced industrially were accumulating in the atmosphere, very small amounts, and these were so-called miracle chemicals, very stable, that replaced very nasty chemicals that were being used in refrigerators, such as sulfur dioxide and ammonia, chemicals that produced all sorts of problems. Anyhow, these so-called miracle chemicals, the chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs, were accumulating in the atmosphere, and the question we posed is there any consequence with this? It didn't appear very plausible because there were very small amounts, and again, you can breathe these compounds. But learning about the atmosphere, learning how it functions, and the possible chemical processes that can take place there, we realized that these compounds were actually so stable that they would end up in the stratosphere in the middle of this protective ozone layer, which is about 30 miles above the Earth's surface. And it's there that they would decompose. And then we realized that the decomposition products would actually destroy quite efficiently parts of this ozone layer through an amplification factor, because very small amounts of these products were capable potentially of destroying large amounts of ozone. And so this was just a hypothesis when we first started to think about this problem. But then working with colleagues in the scientific community, making many measurements and so on, it turned out that years later it was possible to show quite convincingly through chemical and physical experiments that indeed something was happening to the ozone layer. And perhaps the most spectacular symptom was the appearance of the so-called ozone hole over Antarctica, where at certain altitudes more than 99% of the ozone was disappearing in the spring months. And again, measurements and well-planned experiments showed quite conclusively that this very spectacular phenomenon was indeed being caused by these industrial chemicals. So anyhow, that was a test of the hypothesis that we initially postulated. But the most important issue here is, did society respond, or what did people do about this? Unfortunately, we were able to work together with decision makers in governments, with diplomats and so on, and convene through the United Nations an effort to develop an international treaty, the so-called Montreal Protocol, which was accepted after, of course, we had all sorts of discussions, but it was accepted practically by all countries in the planet, and practically solved this very serious environmental problem. And because of this so-called Montreal Protocol, the stratospheric ozone layer is now slowly recovering. It's certainly not getting worse, which is what was happening at that time. And the main issue with this protocol was not to allow industrial production of these compounds after 1996. And that's what actually happened, except for small amounts that some developing countries were allowed to continue producing so that they could switch to the safer chemicals. So in summary, we have one example of a global environmental issue, a very problematic issue that society was able to solve. Science played a dominant role, but so did society. It worries about the solution being very costly turned out not to be correct, and so we are all celebrating the fact that people in this planet can actually get together and solve these types of very serious problems.